Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me again, Mark, and for today's video we're gonna be planting our newly bought succulents. So they've been drying out for 3 days and they really need a good repot. So here they are. Okay, so this is the one, the Cheveria Arcane. I unboxed them about a week ago, so now I think it's about time that we plant them. Okay, so for this video I also want to discuss just some tips if you're starting with succulents again, because I know a lot of my subscribers probably maybe they stopped caring for succulents because it was summer. A lot of their succulents died and people might have just given up on succulents. But I just want to give you some tips if you're wanting to start succulents again. If you're discouraged growing succulents, I hope this video will inspire you to start growing succulents again. So for my first topic, I listed a list of topics here as I do this repotting. For the first point that I want to share you is that growing succulents changes throughout the year. So you can't care for succulents the same throughout the year because succulents are opportunistic growers, so they don't grow all the time all year. So you will have to care for them differently during different seasons. In the summer, some succulents will do well, some succulents will suffer, and some other succulents will do well in the winter, and then when it comes the summertime again, they will suffer again. So that's just how succulents are. They don't grow all year long and you can't treat them the same all year long, and that is, I think, one of the facts that you have to understand, because a lot of people, beginners, will probably have success with them, and then when the season changes, they will have failures on their succulents again because they didn't change their caring habits with their plants. So they just get discouraged and just stop growing succulents. But really, you have to understand that succulents will have different needs in different parts of the year. So for example, our echeverias, like here, they're summer growers, so they like to be planted before summer, and then they thrive. They grow a lot more during the summer. Now, other succulents like sedums, graptopetalums, and pachyphytums, they will actually not do well if they're planted in the heat of the summer because they're winter growers. So these sedums, graptopetalums, you probably want to start growing them during autumn season when winter rolls in, or probably in the middle of the winter if you're not getting a lot of rain in your area. So you can probably start growing sedums because that's how they will be establishing. That's the best time to establish them, and then when the summer comes, they will be established, they will be stronger, they can handle the heat more. But if you start growing these sedums in the middle of the summer, then they will not acclimate well, they will stop growing, you will not see them rooting very much. So you really have to adjust buying your succulents, choosing succulents, choosing the succulents to buy depending on the season, and then changing your watering, because when succulents are dormant, they will not need a lot of watering. So you will have to change your watering habits if the season is changing. So some succulents like the echeverias, you will not water them a lot during the winter. You will want to avoid that because echeverias will drop leaves if you water them a lot during the winter. And then sedums, if you water them a lot during the summer, they will also drop leaves. So you have to adjust your watering, your care. And I think that's just one thing that beginners should understand about succulents. They're very picky when it comes to their care needs. So you can buy succulents, you can choose which succulents you want to buy, but the succulents will choose if they want to stay alive in your place. So you really have to adjust your care with them. Okay, so now I've managed to add screens on these pots. So I've chosen the pots for the plants. And don't worry, I've already made the potting mix right here, so you won't have to see me make the potting mix. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our next point, and that is investing for your garden will make your gardening much easier. So now a lot of people will actually want to buy succulents because succulents are very cheap and they're very accessible. So now we have shipping, we have JNT, we have LBC, so we can get succulents very easily. But some people don't understand that succulents need a good spot to which you can put them so that they will thrive, so that they will survive. So people will sometimes get success with one plant and then they buy a lot more, and then once their collection grows, since they don't have the spot ready, their plants will die. So that will make them discouraged, and then will actually prevent them from buying any more succulents, or will make them want to stop buying succulents altogether. So now, what I would suggest, if you have some spare cash, if you're planning to spend money on plants on your garden, then I would recommend you start buying the shade net or the greenhouse plastic first, like the one I'm using here, UV plastic. Or if you don't have the spot for it, if you don't have a bright sunny location in your house, then you can try investing in grow lights, because succulents really need light. They're actually they're very much demanding when it comes to their light needs. They will die if they get a little less light than what they need. So you will really have to find a way to give them the light that they need. Investing in grow lights, investing in greenhouses will really make your gardening much easier, which is why you can probably see me, in the middle of the summer still buying succulents. I don't get bothered with the heat, I don't get bothered with the rain, because I already have a greenhouse. So if you want to grow succulents successfully, just invest on your garden, invest on your plastic, invest on your greenhouse nets. Some people, they get very brave, because a lot of those sharing on Facebook, they really share this rain or shine succulents, but not every climate is similar to theirs. So if they get success with the rain or shine succulents, it might not mean the same for you. So if you're not getting any success with your rain or shine succulents, then you can try adjusting your location for your plants, especially since plants are very cheap. People can replace them very easily, but people sometimes have a thinking that they will buy succulents more rather than invest on their garden spaces, but that is just wrong. So you will be wasting a lot of your money if you don't invest in your garden space right away. So now it's getting very dark. Now for our next point, the next thing you should know if you're starting with succulents again is that you should choose the right succulents for your location and for the type of gardener that you are. Because if you're getting less light, then really I would tell you to avoid echeverias and sedums, because these plants are really demanding when it comes to their lights. Graptopetaliums can probably handle medium light. Pachyphytums, they will need a lot of light as well. So you will really have to adjust your plants or choose the plants to grow depending on your location. If it's very hot in your area, if you get tons of light and it's already very hot in your area, I would suggest you try cacti and aloes and agaves, and not these soft type succulents, because they will really need lower temperature to thrive. So yeah, it's a fact right now. It's actually a fact that other people will not tell you, that succulents need lower temperatures to thrive. They will need protection from the sun and from the rain. Okay, it's getting really dark here. So if you can't give that to your plant, then they will die. So you will really have to choose the right plant for your location, for your area. A lot of people who are growing cacti actually came from growing succulents, because they don't have any success with their succulents, then they shifted to growing cacti, and they have a lot of success with growing cacti even in hotter locations. So that's just one hard truth here in the Philippines. Not every climate can be suitable for succulents. Wow, I just ran out of potting mix. That's all my potting mix. Okay, so now I will also say that you might probably see me getting a lot of success with my plants, because I'm actually living in a moderately higher land. So since we're living near the side of the mountain, we're actually higher than the people on the lowlands. So we get lower temperatures here, and I find that lower temperature lets me have more success with my plants. And yeah, that's just one fact when it comes to the Kalei Plants channel, where we don't grow at the lowlands. So it's actually getting really rainy right now. Wow. Okay, so it's getting rainy and windy outside, so now we moved here. I moved the tripod here inside, and maybe I hope that this will be this will still be a usable video, I hope, because I already did a lot of points. Okay, so now I'm just gonna plop down my plants on my pots on my potting mix. So you see here that I've got dried leaves on this one. I'm just gonna remove that. Okay, so if you're planting succulents and they're dry, don't bother about it. This one's not yet showing any roots. Okay, so you just leave them dry. Don't worry about them getting ugly because they're dry. That's just how they are. And you only water 1 week after planting your succulents. So that's how I acclimate, guys. I only start watering after 1 week, not sooner. Okay, that's how you keep your plants alive. If they're getting dry at the bottom, just let them get dry. Don't water them before you reach the 1 week time period. Okay, so that's our Echeveria arcane, and it's getting really windy right now. Okay, so next, this will be this is probably the white one. Really windy. Okay, so I'm taking out the dried leaves at the bottom. If you touch the upper part of the succulent, if you can't avoid touching it while handling the plant, it's okay. The plant will regrow its farina. And I'm really not that big of a farina crazy person. A lot of people actually like their farina very thick. I think those people have OCD, but it doesn't mind me very much. Just as long as my plants are growing and active, then I don't bother about the farina too much. Okay, there you go. Third plant. I think this one is the Amabile. Okay, another green thick-leafed Echeveria. Okay, so now while I'm patting this up, let me go to our last point, and that is, yes, we're not yet on the last point. We're still on the fourth point, and the fourth point is investing in good potting mix will yield longer living succulents. So yes, a good potting mix, like you see what I'm using here, I have a video on how I make my potting mix. A good potting mix will actually make your succulents thrive longer. So some people say that they grow the succulents in loam soil, in garden soil, in soil found from their backyards, but not everyone can get away with that. And I will not recommend that if you're growing sensitive succulents, because these succulents really need drainage when you grow them. They don't thrive very well in tropical climates with very thick, very heavy potting mixes. So I will really recommend you invest in a good potting mix. Buy Pamis. Everything is accessible in Lazada, in Shopee. You can buy anything you want, virtually anything right now. So if you can buy succulents, then you can probably buy potting mixes as well. Some Benguet growers will have access to Alnos compost, which is an ingredient that I'm using on my plants. So if you can't find Alnos compost on online shops, then you can try on online Benguet sellers. You can ask them if they have Alnos compost to spare. If they can sell you Alnos compost, I believe they can offer you some, because Alnos compost is found exclusively in the highlands. Okay, so here's our fantastic fountain. Next plant, this is our teepee. Okay. So before the rain rolls in and before I die here, because it's already getting chaotic outside, our last point for this video is growing succulents needs a lot of patience. So a lot of people really like the way that succulents look. They like beautiful succulents, but a lot of people also don't have the patience for that. So if you're the person that doesn't have the patience for succulents, don't grow them. Yeah, that's just what I would say. I will say it right away. If you always rush to water your plants, always rush to repot your plants, always rush in growing your succulents, I would tell you, you can stop growing succulents right now, because succulents need patience. They need time. They're fat plants. Actually, let me just tell this to you. This plant, see this is very beautiful. You can actually leave this in the sun for 2 to 4 weeks without doing anything on it. You can also not replant it. You can leave it under morning sun and not do anything to it for 4 weeks, and it will not die. It will stay alive. So that's what succulents are. They don't need tons of care. They take care of themselves. They have their own energy stored in their leaves. If you're gonna be rushing them, they will be stressed and they will die. Okay, so it's getting really windy right now. Okay, so this has been a very chaotic video, okay, but I hope This will be worth watching. The wind is so strong. Okay. What? So also, if you manage to get water on your newly planted succulents, if you get droplets on them, don't bother with it. They can tolerate that. But if you get really soaking wet succulents because of the rain, if their potting mix gets really soaked, you will have to be worried, because newly planted succulents really needs to be dry before they get watered. Okay. So my plants here, the ones that I'm showing you, they won't be getting water right here in the middle of the greenhouse for about 1 week. I will not water them. I will give them more sun so that the rosettes can close, so that they won't die. So yeah, you will have to be very patient with the succulents. That's what I was saying before. You can leave them for 3 weeks, 4 weeks without bothering with them, and then they will not die. Yes. So actually, succulents will really like to be neglected more than to be bothered with. So you will have to neglect them a lot more if you're really killing your succulents. Now, just so you know, you can neglect them if you're giving them the right sun exposure, because if you're putting them in the dark, then they will really die. So that's really what succulents need: sun, neglect, and a little bit of watering every now and then. So that's just my reminder for you if you're planning to grow new succulents soon. But I think that's about it for this video, guys, because it's already raining. I will probably see you on the next video. If you have any questions with our topics, just comment down below, and also please hit the like and subscribe. And that's it for this video, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.